I may as well pop on and say hello. So I thought I'll go and give you some lessons today, not personal readings, but lessons on tea leaf reading using a tea leaf reading cup, a fortune teller teacup. So I've got a couple of cups here. I've got a blank cup. I've got a fortune teller teacup. This is the lovely cat's one. I love this one. It's so gorgeous. It looks really good with the tea symbols as well as tarot symbols as well in this one. Hang on, I'll just have to put my do not disturb on so no one comes through. And I've got this is my teaching fortune teller teacup where I've got the lines in it, and I want to show you from a basic teacup as well. Some of the biggest challenges people have is tea selection, and you can use tea out of a tea bag, but I use loose leaf teas, and I've got a green tea and a beautiful black tea. And I'll just bring this up a bit more. So the first thing is, how much tea do you use? And the biggest thing is you use about probably 1/8 of a teaspoon. As you can see, it's really just a pinch of tea that you would use in your teacup. So, and when you have, that's a black tea, and when you have green teas or some herbal teas, they're often really, really big leaves. Like some of these are like great big tree trunks. You never ever use that much tea when you're doing a tea leaf reading. We only need a very small amount of tea. And when you've got a green tea as such, and you'll see the green tea leaves here, I'm just going to put those in, they're very big leaves. And look, you can put them and leave them like that, but green teas, I tend to say, squish them up a little bit, because the main reason is with green teas, if you don't break up the leaf structure, you're going to end up with lots of canoes and you won't get much really out of it. So when you've got a really big leaf tea, I would suggest crushing it up. So, hello. I've got Facebook user because it doesn't tell me who it is. So that's what I use in green tea and black tea. The next thing is you pour your water. I'm only going to put a little bit of water in these, just enough to swell them. And you let your tea sit for a few minutes. And I always say it's like the let it brew. So while that's brewing, I just want to go through a couple of things with my reading cup. This is my teaching cup, and you'll see different lines and things drawn into it. And these are the various ways you can actually read a teacup. So the red lines divided into quarters. The blue lines here is when we are looking at a cup as in emotional or things about self and things about exterior. Outside influences. Then all these segments is if you are doing a 12-month reading. Now, when you're doing a 12-month reading for yourself, we always have the handle point towards you, and it means yourself or pointing towards your heart. So when you actually are reading it, the handle becomes yourself. So imagine it is a clock, and that's 12 o'clock. So we've got 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9. And those clock hours become the months in time. So there would be July, August, September, October, November, December, and so on. The very bottom of the cup represents the long-term future. So if I had said this reading, I want to set what's going on for the next 12 months, the circle would become 12 months or more. And you really don't have a time frame on it, but it just tells us further down the track. If you had this cup and said it's only a 6-month time frame, that circle then would be 6 months or more. So you must always have your time frame intention set before you make your tea and before you take that first sip. So think about your question and then set your time intention. That's paramount. In here, I've drawn my little symbols on some of the symbols. These are just some of the common symbols that you would see in a teacup and how they can be placed around a teacup. So that there, if you're wondering, is a mermaid. So I've got a mermaid, a standing cat, I've got a chair. There I've got some blocks, which are buildings. I've got here a letter S. Then I've got a box, then I've got some scattered dots there and some scattered dots there, a couple of straight sticks there, an arrow, more dots, a little dog, and then I've got a sitting cat, an arrow pointing down. And they're just some of the common symbols found when you're looking at teacups. So these, I'm going to show you when you are reading a blank teacup, which this is a blank teacup, and I've let it swirl. I'm just going to tip some of this out. Hang on, I'll just pour it because I've got too much there. Actually, I'm going to drink it. And when you're drinking loose leaf tea, basically you are using your teeth as a strainer. So think of your teeth, they're the gate to stop swallowing the tea leaves. Pardon me. It's okay if you swallow tea leaves, it really doesn't matter. So, and I need to take another sip. So I'm just going to move them out of the way. Okay, so I've left about probably a good teaspoon of water. First to get swirls. Sorry if I'm losing connections, it tells me there's interruption. So I'm then swirling my teacup, swirling it. It's being turned upside down. So I'm just going to leave that and let that one sit there for a minute. So this here is one of the fortune teller teacups. And this one is the green tea. So let me just tip a little bit of that out. All right. And again, we're going to get some swirl happening. I'm then going to turn, and leave it upside down. And I'm very good at spilling tea. All on my new mat. And someone asked me the other day, can I throw this velvet mat into a washing machine? Definitely no. Do not throw velvet into a washing machine. It won't end up crushed velvet, it'll end up wrecked velvet. So if you're like me and you spill things all the time, I'm a real klutz when it comes to that, just sponge it. And even if you spill black tea, coffee, red cordial, whatever, sponge it with warm soapy water. Don't chuck it in the washing machine. Velvet is best if it's dry cleaned only. So first I'm going to look at is the blank teacup. And it's good to have a couple of scenarios and things like that. So I'm going to use a scenario. I often have client scenarios, which are always good because it's real life experiences. So I'm going to actually look at this teacup as a career reading for the next, say, 6 months. I'll put the time frame on. And the lady's just taken a new role in the same organisation where it's a lot of pressure, and she's just wanting to know, is this it? Is there more for me in my career of what's going on? So when I do a teacup reading, I always tap on the bottom because it's like knocking on the front door of, can I come in? So I'm knocked on the front door and I'm going to have a look. And most people look at the cup and say, but Karen, there's nothing in the cup. How can you see? You'd be very surprised from them little bits of symbols there of what the information is. Now, because I've said my time frame is 6 months, I'm going to divide this cup into the 6-month segments. So I'm actually putting 3 sections, and we're going to say that is 1 month 2, 3 month and 4, and then 5 and 6. When you see a lot of blank spaces in a cup like that, it often means life just rolling along. There isn't a great deal of stuff there to report. She's got here in the 1 month is a little tiny bird, and it's a tiny, tiny sitting bird. Birds tell me, and birds always carry news. So when we're looking at T symbols, always think of the symbol and you interview it or ask it a few questions. So the first question I would look at that and ask is, okay, what does a bird do? Bird sings, bird tweets. So we look at them as Twitter, literally. So it can be literally online gossip. But they're messengers. So does it have emotion? Yes. Does it think? Yes. Does it, birds can be trained, they can mimic. Birds also have emotion. Their speed is fast. So we look at all the aspects of the symbol in order to decipher its meaning. And that's the best way to look at it. So the bird here in the next month tells me there's something that you need to probably listen to in the next month. It's not surrounding anything, so it just tells me keep your ears open, wide. There's some information. The bird is pointing to the handle, and the handle is the lady herself. So it just tells me keep your ears open, listen to conversations that are around you, because it could be very beneficial for you. So then a second month, and like I said, when we are dividing teacups up, imagine it's going to run here, that I've got these lines down there. So she's got nothing there in the second month. Hang on, I've just got to open a wardrobe up. Here you go, Jolly. Cat wants to go in the cupboard. So nothing going on in the second month. Here is her third month. So we're reading these symbols. Then we've got 4, 5, and then 6. So it looks messy, I know, but that's how you would divide up the segments. So in her third month, she's got 2 tall structures here, and straight sticks often represent males. So she's got a taller one and a smaller one. So it tells me there is some discussions. There is 2 males here. Taller one tells me a man in authority will be discussing something with another male. And that's happening in her third month. Here she's got, it's again like a big bird, and it's crossing between the third month into the 4. So a bird again, not sure if you can see that. It's a bit like a duck type thing. A bird would tell me again, there's conversations, and that bird's looking down towards these 2 men, which tells me she may be invited into the conversation with either a manager or a person in a higher place. So it is important that she has her say as well. Right down here, I don't know if you can see that. It's so hard to show. Don't know if I can show you there. It's actually like a little dragon, and his wings sticking up. I'll try and separate him. And the wing is sticking up. Dragons mean don't be afraid. They're a mythical creature, which is powerful, yes, but it's like don't be afraid. And the dragon is flying in this direction, where the bird is that direction. So I'd look at that and say, don't fear what is being said or the communication here, because she will gain in power, which is actually a really lovely sign. So, and that is in her 1, 2, 3, 4th, from the late third month into early in the 4th month. But here is where all her activity is, in the 5th and 6th months with her career. She's got, hang on, I'll just pop that there on the shape next to the big bird bucket duck. Yeah, it does look a little bit like a dress or a tutu. So it does, yeah. I can see it in 3D, which is really hard to show on video. I wish we could, it'd be much easier. So up here in her 5th and 6th month, we've got a beautiful tree, which is lovely to see, a lovely straight trunk on the tree. And tree here would tell me great growth and opportunities for her. It often means stabilisation or very grounded in the job that she is doing. She's also got above it, it's almost like a beehive or a little hive, and there is also a dollar sign. A beehive means the pace, yes, can be maddening, but it often is about teamwork and good people that surround you. And to see the dollar sign would tell me growth in money opportunities with the good support team that is around her. These are brilliant career symbols for this lady. And here, pardon me, she's got is again another person that's standing, and this person here is literally holding a flag. And you see the yellow. I keep losing my voice. I'm terribly sorry. I need more tea. So here she's holding a yellow flag. Thank you, Roz. Hand pink waving. She's holding a flag, and the yellow is about positivity, which still means there's more climbs for her to come. And it's happening around the late in the 5th month, early into the 6th month. So to see beautiful strong tree, it is the largest symbol where there is growth and teamwork and money gain. So there's some really good stuff. And here, and I hold the cup this way, she's got a number 5. Or you might see it as the letter S. I actually see it as a number 5. Numbers in tea is often timing. So the 5 could be 5 days, 5 weeks, up to 5 months. It is sitting in the 6th month area, so it still tells me to pay attention to the 5s over the next 6 months. So on the 5th day from now, there could be an important conversation or something that may happen that's pivotal to her career. Same with the 5 weeks and the 5th month as well. 5 in numerology is about freedom, discipline. We often say 5 alive, so it does mean lots of action and things that's going on around her. So it's movement and change, which is in her 6th month. So overall, her 6 month reading is really, really good, which just in a nutshell, you would say in the next month, really listen to the things that's going on around you. There is some good messages and information that's coming through. It is important that she pays attention and be part of the communication between managers and other co-workers. And don't be afraid to speak up and put your input, because this will all ultimately lead to great growth and opportunity where you're building upon that teamwork and team spirit. And you will see a financial gain. So that's in a nutshell version if you are reading a blank teacup. So that's just if you were reading a blank one. Don't you love this? This is my blue. Haven't got this yet because I'm still looking at samples. And this is a blue Constellations teacup. So it's just one of my samples. So I'm going to then now read with one of the fortune teller teacups. And fortune teller teacups, you'd be really surprised the accuracy. And they're a brilliant way to learn how to read teacups because your symbols are already printed in them. So even if you've never read a teacup in your life, you can read a teacup. With these fortune teller teacups, they come with a booklet and they all come with the little images and what they mean. They also come with a lovely little gold spoon, and it looks like a little crystal on the end. It's not real crystal, but they still look fabulous. If they were real crystal, it would cost a fortune. So I'm going to set a time frame first, and I'll look at, what can I look at? we'll say a person's got, actually I'll use it at a real life experience. So, because I've got to make a decision on these of whether I go into manufacture of my blue and gold teacups. So let's use that, and let's set the time frame for the next 3 months. We'll shorten the time frame. So again, we knock on the back of our teacup and we turn it over, and I am looking now at the next 3 months. Now, when you still divide your cups up into a time frame, you can look at them as a whole. But if I'm saying what's going on in the next 3 months, I'm literally dividing it into 3 sections. And when we read a fortune teller teacup, because I am a tea leaf reader, I can read the symbols. But say you can't read any tea leaf symbols. Some of them, as you learn, will be so blatantly obvious, you won't be able to miss it. So we've got tea sitting on the sun. So if I couldn't read a teacup, I'd go to my book and I would look and think, okay, I've got tea sitting on the sun. So I'd go along here and I would look at all the keywords on what's going on with the sun. Okay, so it's about happy and positivity and light source and so on. It's a success symbol. So it tells me in the next month I've got some good successes coming. Positive light, sun is a light source, so it often means power and happy. I've also got tea sitting down here on the clover, and clover is about good luck and opportunity. And I've also got big blobs of tea sitting up here on the crossroads. So the crossroads is often about decision making. So in my first month there, it would tell me good decision makings, or I need to make a good decision that may be something to do with finances and opportunity, but it is giving me positive answers and positive light. That's actually nice to see. So it tells me something very good and abundant in the next 1 month to come. My straight stick down here, it's not actually touching the cross, so that I would read as the bottom of the cup, like a circle. So in the second month, I haven't really got the tea touching the symbols as such, but it's very close here. And I can read what that is, but I won't do that yet. So I've got man symbol. So we look up the man symbol. And man symbol doesn't always mean a male as self. It often is step up to the plate, be proactive, strength, determination. So it tells me strength and determination is required in month 2. Then month 3, again, we haven't got any tea landed on a symbol, but I've got a bit of tea here between 2 symbols. And I do tend to read them when they are close like that. So there I've got tea between the snake and the coffin. So they are 2 cautionary signs, which would mean something I need to close, something I need to look at and make sure I'm not being deceived in any way, shape or form. And snake in its positive often means shed the skin or renewal, and it's like get rid of old patterns to allow new. So if I'm reading just the symbols in the cup alone, it would tell me the next month is really important for decision making, that will be in my favour, and it'll open up many doors of luck and opportunity in the next month. It is important that I do take control, step up to the plate in order to put things behind me but begin new again. So that's how you would read it if you are reading just the printed symbols alone. So hello to everyone who's joined me. So there's not many there, but hopefully you will see it and have a look at the playback. So if I'm now reading these symbols that are blatantly obvious to me, I've got a massive big bird sitting here right on top of the sun. There's also a little doorway, and the bird is about communication, and a doorway means look at further things down the track and what can open up for me. And it's sitting on the sun. So now I'm combining the leaf with the layer of what's printed in the actual teacup. So light source would tell me pay attention to the conversations that can bring around change. The clover here is actually a person's head, like a head and shoulders or a bust. Because there's no hair either up or down the back, it would tell me masculine structure. And when you see a head or a head and shoulders or the head and neck, it usually means someone in a position of authority or wisdom and advice. So there would tell me, take the wisdom and advice of an older or a mature aged male that also has luck and opportunity, but my best interests at heart. And then round here, you've literally got a person, there's feet. It's like they've got carrying a big stick of some sort. There's lots of hair flowing out the back. And then there's a little person sitting behind them on their back. The person's pointing to the right, to that direction. And it's sitting on the crossroads. Now, I find that really interesting. Hair, when it's streaming in symbology, would tell me all the creativity that is flowing. But I'm walking this way, which tells me, am I walking away from a decision? The stick is like a cane or a support. But there's also a person sitting behind me. So I look at that and say, I've got the gentle support of those who are good for me because it's attached to me. But the stick there is me needing the support. But me walking away from the crossroads would tell me, am I making a decision because of these? So it's like making a proactive decision. I'm also looking at these symbols. Now, even though they're not landed on anything, we can actually read the symbols. There we've got a little tiny bird in flight. There we've got a straight line, or it's a horizontal, which often is the road. And there you've got, it's also like a mini duck or a, it's actually, when I look at it 3D, I don't know if you can see it, it's like a book that's placed down, like someone's got a book like that and they're placing it down. And a book placed down means contemplation on what you are seeing. So this is a contract that I have to enter into. And the bird flying would tell me information that is moving. So that is a very important step for me making the decisions around my blue and gold teacups within the next month. So around here in the second month, it's actually a horse with a yellow tail. Try and bring him right up. And horse is often in the Normand is about messengers. Horse in tea symbology is freedom, independence, and often means young male. And he's got a lovely big bold tail. And young male near male, again, would tell me using proactive or strength of somebody. Yeah, Lynn's making tea, which he does. And it means feeling the freedom and the strength and the independence by doing so. Now here is its tiniest symbol. You know what, I'm just going to grab my magnifying glass because I really want to show you what that looks like. Linus, can you grab my mag light under the sewing machine? What's that? The magnifying glass that's under the sewing machine, one with the light. Yeah. Because I really want to show you what this symbol is. It's one of the smallest, but it's actually one of the most important that's actually in this teacup. And I've got this super duper, hang on, don't know if you'll see it. Right, trying to see it. It's going to be hard to see. Let me try this one. Try and bring it right up. It's the tiniest symbol, but it's actually a little tiny lightning bolt. Now, that as a symbol is one of the most important symbols in this entire cup. And a lightning bolt, which is there, would tell me pay attention in a big, big way, because it tells me what is it that could go wrong with making these decisions. So very interesting. And then around here, where I've got the straight stick, which hopefully you can see, between the coffin and the snake. Straight sticks are often tall men. So it's standing between the coffin and the snake. So it does mean be proactive. Yes, it could be Linus, who's over 6 foot, but it's often means be proactive, step forward, something that I do need to eradicate in order to gain new. So that is how you would read a teacup that has the actual symbols in it. It's good to actually see these in the magnifying glass. So there's a big bird and a little door. And there is the lady with her hair flowing, and she's carrying her stick and a backpack. Also down here on the cross is, again, it's like a little lamp post or a street sign with a little sign that's poking towards the right near the cross. And the cross is, again, what can be difficult, what can be a burden. Again, with one street sign that's only pointing one way, there's not a second on it, means I need to make the right decision, or it could end up really difficult and painful for me. So that's how you read very, very simple images with a fortune teller teacup. And the fortune teller teacups do give you the layered advantage over a blank teacup. And like I said, the accuracy on these is quite mind-boggling. And when you want to keep a record, like modern day, lots of people take photos and things like that where we photograph it, write our notes, which is great. But one of the old ways that I used to do it was I actually drew a map. And that's how I drew the teacups. So the handle I would point here, I drew the circle of the cup, and I drew the bottom. Then I'd put in a couple of lines if I was looking at it as emotional and material world. Then the bottom of the cup I would draw up here, and I would write down all my notes. And I actually still have readings, believe it or not, that go right back to 2013, and this is how I used to read them. And I used to actually write it all down like this, and I would put down what the information was and how I used to write them. So, and that goes back to, it's actually 29th of July 2013. So, and it's just writing down keywords of what the symbols were, and then you're really writing a storyline. And the beauty when you are reading tea is literally you are piecing together a story. And one of the easiest ways is literally pretend you're writing a child story of once upon a time. Karen had to make a decision about making her blue and gold teacups, and what did she come across? And then you are writing down, she came across a bird, across a door, a man's head on the clover, and you piece the story together, because tea leaf reading is storytelling. And all the symbols is what teaches us and tells us the story for the future. And it is, I find this really fascinating because, like I said, I do have to make a decision on, do I produce these or not? They are very beautiful, aren't they? And it is blue. It's not black. A lot of people first see this and think that it's black, but I'll show you the difference with a black teacup. That is a black and that is a blue. So it's just to show you the differences. So, like I said, I have to make a decision. Do I produce the blue? These ones, I love the handle on these teacups, but like I said, I am in the middle of some negotiations and I'm not exactly happy because they keep changing the price on me, because at the moment I do all these myself here at home. I've got commercial products that I can make these, but they do take a lot of work and I'm looking at getting all the gold work done by another manufacturer. Yeah, lots of people love the blue. Blue teacups are very, very difficult to find. I love the black, but the blue is stunning. And I always think of the blue as the midnight skies, but they are really, really difficult. And if you look around, you can never buy navy blue teacups. So there you go. Yeah, so, but I'm currently having to make decisions on that. As you can imagine, it is thousands and thousands of dollars for me. So it is a big decision that I need to think about long and hard. So if there's anyone with any questions, just let me know. I'll go back in after the video and if anyone's got questions. Yeah, lots of people see blue, and like I said, it is gorgeous. They are stunning, like I said, in the black. That's what they look like with the symbols inside them. And this is a beautiful verse that I put in there. And the verse inside, it actually says, "Beneath the moon and stars above, I brew a cup of tea with love. As I sip, I ponder deep and read the leaves that gently steep." So that's the verse that I've made to put inside them. I do have a few. Oops. Also hard to see it. Oh, this one's a zodiac one, but I've actually got emerald green as well. So these are star constellations, and I specifically chose these star constellations for their power and the energy that they emit. And for us in the spiritual community, these are important star constellations. So we've got Hercules, we've got Monoceros, we've got Phoenix, the Southern Cross, Pegasus, Mentor, Delphinius, and Canis Major, and they're the same ones that's on the saucer as well. So aren't they beautiful? So I hope that's helpful, but I thought I'd just pop on and show the differences from using a plain teacup versus a fortune teller teacup. And I find it interesting. I've actually got a lot more information about the decisions I've got to make with the fortune teller teacup. And with fortune teller teacups, if they ever have an image inside of them, and some do, this has got the two cats, and if your tea lands on that image, you read that image as well. And so some cups have a flower, some will have a butterfly, some will have a bird, and so on. So if tea lands on the image that's printed inside the cup, you read that too. So I hope that helps everyone, and thanks for joining me, and I hope you've learned a little bit about tea leaf reading. Thanks for listening, and I'll end the chat now, and I'll go through the comments a bit later in the day. Bye for now.